Welcome back, dear seekers of the supernatural, to another spine-chilling episode of our haunted storytelling series. If you're new here, welcome to a channel dedicated to unraveling the eerie mysteries that linger in the corners of our world. Today, we dive deeper into the shadows of South Carolina, a state steeped in history, folklore, and whispers of the paranormal. In Episode 1, we scratched the surface of this hauntingly beautiful region, exploring its ghostly plantations, spectral battlefields, and cursed landmarks. But there is much more to uncover. South Carolina's haunted tales are as vast and varied as its landscapes, from the misty swamps of the Lowcountry to the historic streets of Charleston and beyond. In the second installment, we will journey even further into the unknown, venturing into places where time seems to stand still and the veil between worlds grows thin. These locations are not just remnants of the past, they are living, breathing entities that continue to echo with the voices of those who once walked their halls, or never left. From abandoned asylums shrouded in despair to lighthouses guarding secrets of the sea, each site carries its own unique brand of terror. And as we peel back the layers of history, we'll uncover stories so chilling they may leave you questioning what lies beyond the edge of reality. So grab your lanterns, light your candles, and settle in for an evening of goosebumps and gasps. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, these tales are sure to ignite your imagination, and perhaps send a shiver down your spine. Let us step boldly into the darkness together, for within it lies the truth about South Carolina's most haunted places. The Litchfield Plantation, whispers among the oaks nestled along the southern coast of South Carolina, near the sleepy town of Pawleys Island, stands the Litchfield Plantation, a sprawling estate steeped in both beauty and sorrow. Built in 1715, this antebellum mansion was once a hub of agricultural prosperity, its fields yielding bountiful harvests of rice and indigo under the scorching Lowcountry sun. Yet beneath its grand columns and sweeping verandas lies a darker history, one whispered among the ancient live oaks that line its grounds. For centuries, the plantation has been plagued by reports of ghostly apparitions, disembodied voices, and inexplicable phenomena, earning it a reputation as one of the most haunted sites in the Palmetto State. At the heart of the Litchfield Plantation's haunting legacy is the tragic tale of Emily Gadsden, the daughter of the plantation's original owner. Described as a spirited young woman with a love for music and poetry, Emily's life took a devastating turn when she fell deeply in love with a sailor named Thomas Whitaker. Their romance blossomed during the summer months when Thomas would dock his ship at nearby Winyah Bay, but their happiness was short-lived. When Emily's father discovered their relationship, he forbade her from seeing Thomas, citing his lower social standing as reason enough to end the affair. Heartbroken yet defiant, Emily continued to meet Thomas in secret, exchanging letters hidden beneath the floorboards of her bedroom. Their clandestine meetings came to an abrupt halt one fateful night in 1847. As Emily waited for Thomas beneath the great oak tree on the plantation grounds, she received word that his ship had sunk during a violent storm off the coast. Consumed by grief, Emily retreated to her room, refusing food or comfort. Days later, her body was discovered lifeless on her bed, clutching a locket containing Thomas's portrait. It is said that Emily's spirit has never left the plantation, forever searching for the man she loved. Visitors to Litchfield Plantation often recount eerie encounters linked to Emily's restless soul. Many describe hearing faint piano melodies drifting through the air, though no instrument exists within the house today. Others claim to see a translucent figure dressed in white wandering the grounds at dusk, her silhouette illuminated by the moonlight filtering through the moss-draped trees. The most unsettling accounts come from guests staying overnight in the main house. They report feeling an icy breeze pass through their rooms, accompanied by the sound of soft sobbing emanating from the walls. Some have even awoken to find a woman sitting at the foot of their bed, her hollow eyes fixed upon them before vanishing into thin air. But Emily is not the only presence said to haunt the plantation. Slaves who worked the land during the antebellum era are also believed to linger, their spirits bound to the earth by the injustices they endured. Staff members tasked with maintaining the property frequently report tools moving inexplicably, doors slamming shut without cause, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. One caretaker swore he saw shadowy figures tending to the gardens late at night, their movements jerky and unnatural. Another described hearing the rhythmic clanging of chains echoing through the old slave quarters, despite the fact that no such artifacts remain on the property. Paranormal investigators who have explored the Litchfield plantation describe it as a hotspot for supernatural activity. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near Emily's former bedroom and the slave quarters. EVP recordings captured during overnight sessions reveal faint voices muttering indistinct phrases, interspersed with anguished cries. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from thermal imaging cameras, which have detected cold spots concentrated in specific locations, areas where historical records indicate significant loss of life occurred. Despite its haunted reputation, the Litchfield plantation remains a popular destination for tourists eager to glimpse a piece of Southern history. Its owners make no secret of its spectral inhabitants, instead embracing them as part of the property's unique charm. For those brave enough to book a stay, the promise of encountering Emily's ghost, or perhaps one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls, proves irresistible. Yet, as each new guest steps across its threshold, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the shadows that linger within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the plantation's tragic tale? The Old Charleston Jail, a bastion of despair tucked away amidst the cobblestone streets and historic architecture of Charleston, lies a structure whose grim history casts a long, dark shadow over the city, the Old Charleston Jail. Constructed in 1802, this imposing edifice served as the primary correctional facility for nearly 2 centuries, housing everyone from petty criminals to hardened murderers. Its towering stone walls and barred windows exude an aura of oppression, a visual testament to the suffering endured within. Over time, the jail earned a reputation not only for its brutal conditions but also for the countless lives lost behind its impenetrable facade. Today, it stands as one of South Carolina's most notorious haunted locations, where the echoes of pain and anguish refuse to fade. One of the darkest chapters in the jail's history unfolded during the American Civil War, when Union soldiers occupied Charleston and converted the facility into a military prison. Conditions deteriorated rapidly, with overcrowding, disease, and starvation becoming rampant. Prisoners were subjected to unimaginable horrors, including public executions and torturous punishments meted out by sadistic guards. Historical records reveal that many inmates died not from their sentences but from the sheer brutality of their confinement. Their bodies were hastily buried in unmarked graves beneath the building, adding to the macabre energy that permeates its corridors. Among the most infamous residents of the Old Charleston Jail was Lavinia Fisher, often referred to as America's first female serial killer. Convicted in 1819 of murdering travelers who stayed at her inn, Lavinia and her husband John were sentenced to death. Before her execution, legend has it that Lavinia cursed the jail and all those who dared to enter it. Her spirit is said to haunt the premises, manifesting as a vengeful apparition clad in black. Visitors frequently report hearing shrill laughter echoing through the halls, followed by the sensation of being pushed or scratched by invisible hands. Some claim to see a shadowy figure peering out of broken windows, her piercing gaze locking onto theirs before vanishing without a trace. Beyond Lavinia's malevolent presence, the jail is home to countless other tormented souls. Paranormal investigators have captured chilling evidence of spectral activity throughout the building. Thermal cameras reveal cold spots concentrated in cells where prisoners were known to have perished, while audio recordings pick up faint moans and pleas for help. One particularly disturbing EVP captures a voice whispering, "Let me out," repeated endlessly in a tone devoid of hope. Shadows flit across empty corridors, and disembodied footsteps echo through the silence, creating an atmosphere thick with dread. Staff members tasked with maintaining the jail describe experiences that defy rational explanation. Tools left behind after repairs mysteriously vanish, only to reappear days later in entirely different locations. Lights flicker unpredictably, casting eerie glows over rusted iron bars and crumbling brickwork. One custodian recounted feeling an overwhelming sense of suffocation while cleaning a cell, as though unseen hands were pressing down on his chest. He fled the room immediately, unable to shake the feeling that something, or someone, was trying to keep him there. For those brave enough to explore the Old Charleston Jail, guided ghost tours offer a glimpse into its harrowing past. Participants are led through dimly lit corridors and cramped cells, each step accompanied by tales of misery and madness. Many emerge shaken, claiming to have felt sudden drops in temperature or heard faint cries for mercy. Others speak of seeing faces pressed against the glass of barred windows, their expressions contorted in agony. Even seasoned skeptics admit to feeling uneasy, as if the weight of centuries of suffering presses down on their shoulders. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Old Charleston Jail continues to attract curious visitors eager to confront its dark legacy. Its blend of history and horror creates an experience unlike any other, drawing thrill seekers and history buffs alike. For those willing to step inside, the promise of encountering restless spirits offers both terror and fascination. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the shadows that linger within these walls, or risk becoming part of the jail's eternal torment. The Battery Carriage House Inn, Ghosts of the Holy City Charleston, often hailed as the Holy City, for its rich tapestry of churches and spiritual heritage, harbors a darker side within its picturesque streets. Nestled in the heart of this historic enclave stands the Battery Carriage House Inn, a charming bed and breakfast that masks a sinister legacy beneath its genteel facade. Built in 1843, the inn has long been a favorite among travelers seeking a taste of Southern hospitality. However, its storied past, marked by tragedy, betrayal, and untimely deaths, has cemented its place among South Carolina's most haunted locales. Those who dare to spend the night within its walls often find themselves face to face with specters from another time, their presence lingering like a stubborn fog unwilling to lift. One of the most enduring legends associated with the inn revolves around Room 10, said to be haunted by the spirit of a Confederate soldier named Jacob. Historical accounts suggest that Jacob was mortally wounded during the Civil War and brought to the carriage house by sympathizers hoping to save his life. Despite their efforts, he succumbed to his injuries, leaving behind a wife and child who never learned of his fate. Guests staying in Room 10 frequently report waking up in the middle of the night to find a shadowy figure standing at the foot of their bed, clad in tattered Confederate garb. Others describe hearing faint whispers pleading, "Tell my family I'm sorry," before the room falls silent once more. The emotional weight of Jacob's unfinished business seems palpable, as though his guilt and longing transcend the boundaries of life and death. Another prominent phantom said to haunt the inn is that of a young woman named Sarah, whose tragic story dates back to the late 1800s. According to local lore, Sarah was a bride-to-be who fell victim to a jealous rival on the eve of her wedding. Poisoned during a clandestine meeting, she collapsed in the inn's garden and died before help could arrive. Her spirit is said to wander the property, her ethereal form clad in a flowing white gown. Guests have reported seeing her reflection in mirrors, only to turn and find no one there. Others claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, accompanied by the faint scent of lavender, a nod to her lifelong love of flowers. On occasion, staff members have discovered fresh blooms placed on the mantelpiece of the parlor, despite no one admitting to leaving them. The inn's basement, once used as storage for carriages and supplies, is another focal point of paranormal activity. During the Reconstruction era, the space reportedly served as a makeshift morgue following a yellow fever outbreak that swept through Charleston. Bodies were stored there temporarily before burial, and their restless spirits are said to remain trapped within the damp, dimly lit confines. Employees tasked with cleaning the area describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. One particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Battery Carriage House and frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the inn's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty soldier's uniform standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Paranormal investigators have conducted numerous expeditions within the inn's walls, capturing compelling evidence of its supernatural inhabitants. Thermal imaging cameras reveal cold spots concentrated in specific areas, including room 10 and the garden where Sarah met her demise. Audio recordings capture faint whispers, some pleading for help, others issuing threats in garbled tones. Perhaps the most unsettling discovery came during a live investigation broadcast online. Viewers watching the feed spotted a translucent figure darting across the screen in real time, prompting widespread speculation about the nature of the entities haunting the Battery Carriage House Inn. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the inn remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its owners embrace its spectral reputation, incorporating ghost tours and themed events into their offerings. For those brave enough to book a stay, the opportunity to encounter Jacob, Sarah, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new guest steps across its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the ghosts of Charleston's tumultuous past, or risk becoming another chapter in the inn's haunted history. The Poinsett Hotel, glamour meets the grim in the heart of Greenville, South Carolina, rises the iconic Poinsett Hotel, a grand Art Deco masterpiece that has stood sentinel over Main Street since 1925. Named after Joel Roberts Poinsett, the statesman and botanist who introduced the poinsettia flower to the United States, the hotel quickly became a symbol of luxury and sophistication. Its opulent ballrooms, elegant dining halls, and lavishly appointed suites attracted celebrities, politicians, and socialites from across the country. Yet beneath its polished veneer lies a darker narrative, one steeped in tragedy, scandal, and the supernatural. Today, the Poinsett Hotel is regarded as one of South Carolina's most haunted landmarks, where the glittering glamour of its heyday collides with the grim realities of its haunted halls. One of the most infamous incidents tied to the Poinsett Hotel occurred in 1936, when a young woman named Lily Gray checked into room 902 under mysterious circumstances. Described as beautiful yet enigmatic, Lily spent several days secluded in her room, rarely seen by staff or other guests. On the fourth night of her stay, her lifeless body was discovered sprawled across the floor, the victim of an apparent suicide. However, inconsistencies in the official report fueled rumors of foul play, with some suggesting she had been murdered by a jilted lover or business associate. To this day, Lily's spirit is said to haunt room 902, manifesting as a pale figure draped in a flowing red dress. Guests staying in the room often report hearing faint sobbing emanating from the bathroom, accompanied by the sound of heels clicking against the hardwood floors. Others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them, as though Lily's sorrow lingers in the very air they breathe. Adding to the hotel's haunted reputation is the legend of Charles Poinsett himself, or rather, his spectral doppelganger. Several employees and guests have claimed to see a distinguished-looking man in early 19th century attire wandering the lobby and upper floors. Clad in a tailored suit and top hat, he appears to be inspecting the premises with a critical eye. When approached, he vanishes without a trace, leaving behind only a faint whiff of tobacco smoke. Some believe this apparition is none other than Joel Roberts Poinsett, ensuring that his namesake establishment maintains its standards even in death. The hotel's basement, once used as storage for fine wines and rare liquors, is another hotspot for paranormal activity. During Prohibition, the Poinsett Hotel operated a secret speakeasy in this subterranean space, catering to Greenville's elite who sought refuge from the law. Tales abound of illicit deals gone wrong, drunken brawls, and accidental deaths that occurred in the dimly lit chambers. Modern-day staff tasked with inventorying supplies describe hearing raucous laughter and the clinking of glasses, as though a party from decades past continues unabated. Others claim to see shadowy figures hunched over card tables, their faces obscured by the haze of cigarette smoke. One particularly chilling incident involved a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold fingers gripping his shoulder, forcing him to flee the area in panic. Overnight visitors to the Poinsett Hotel frequently recount unnerving encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially near the elevators and stairwells leading to the upper floors. Guests report waking up to find their belongings rearranged or missing entirely, only to discover them later in odd locations. Some describe seeing reflections in mirrors that do not match their own movements, as if another presence lurks just out of sight. In one particularly disturbing account, a couple staying in room 902 swore they saw Lily standing at the foot of their bed, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. When they attempted to speak to her, she vanished into thin air, leaving behind an oppressive sense of dread. Paranormal investigators who have explored the Poinsett Hotel describe it as a veritable hotbed of supernatural activity. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near room 902 and the basement speakeasy. EVP recordings captured during overnight sessions reveal faint voices muttering indistinct phrases, interspersed with anguished cries. Thermal imaging cameras have detected cold spots concentrated in specific locations, including the lobby and the rooftop terrace. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from video footage showing a shadowy figure descending the grand staircase, its movements fluid yet unnatural. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Poinsett Hotel remains a beloved landmark, attracting tourists eager to glimpse a piece of Greenville's storied past. Its owners make no secret of its spectral inhabitants, instead embracing them as part of the property's unique charm. For those brave enough to book a stay, the promise of encountering Lily's ghost, or perhaps the spirit of Charles Poinsett himself, proves irresistible. Yet, as each new guest steps across its threshold, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the shadows that linger within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the hotel's haunted history? The Georgetown Lighthouse. Guardians of the abyss perched on the windswept shores of Georgetown, South Carolina, the Georgetown Lighthouse stands as a solemn sentinel overlooking the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. First lit in 1811, this iconic beacon has guided countless sailors safely to harbor, its steady glow cutting through the fog and darkness of treacherous waters. Yet, for all its life-saving purpose, the lighthouse harbors a darker legacy, one steeped in maritime disasters, unexplained disappearances, and spectral sightings. Known locally as one of the most haunted sites in the Palmetto State, the Georgetown Lighthouse serves as both a monument to human ingenuity and a gateway to the unknown point. One of the most chilling tales associated with the lighthouse involves the disappearance of keeper Samuel Moore in 1879. Tasked with maintaining the lamp and ensuring its uninterrupted operation, Moore was last seen ascending the spiral staircase to perform his nightly duties. When he failed to return by morning, a search party was dispatched, scouring the surrounding coastline for any sign of him. Despite extensive efforts, no trace of Moore was ever found, either his body nor any personal belongings. Locals whispered that he had been claimed by the sea, dragged into the abyss by vengeful spirits angered by years of human encroachment upon their domain. Since then, visitors to the lighthouse have reported hearing faint cries for help echoing from the tower, as though Moore's voice still calls out from the depths below. Another spectral inhabitant said to haunt the lighthouse is the ghost of a young girl named Abigail, whose tragic fate dates back to the early 20th century. According to legend, Abigail lived with her father, the lighthouse keeper at the time, until a fierce storm swept through the region, destroying their home and leaving her orphaned. Distraught and alone, she threw herself from the top of the lighthouse, her body lost forever to the churning waves. Her spirit is said to linger within the structure, manifesting as a faint outline of a child clad in tattered period clothing. Tourists visiting the site often recount seeing a small figure playing near the base of the lighthouse, giggling softly before vanishing into thin air. Others claim to hear the sound of bare feet running up and down the spiral staircase, accompanied by the occasional tinkling of laughter. The lighthouse's lantern room, perched atop its towering frame, is another focal point of paranormal activity. This confined space, where countless keepers spent lonely nights tending to the flame, seems to retain the residual energy of those who once labored within. Visitors frequently report feeling an overwhelming sense of isolation, as though the weight of the ocean presses down on them. Some describe seeing shadowy figures hunched over the lamp, their movements jerky and unnatural. Others claim to hear the faint hum of machinery, despite the fact that the original equipment has long since been replaced. One particularly unsettling account comes from a photographer who captured what appears to be a translucent hand reaching toward the camera lens, an image that has since become a staple of online paranormal forums. Even the surrounding grounds are not immune to the supernatural. The rocky shoreline beneath the lighthouse is rumored to be haunted by the spirits of sailors who perished in shipwrecks off the coast. Witnesses described seeing ghostly ships materialize on the horizon, their sails tattered and their decks eerily silent. As they draw closer, the vessels dissolve into mist, leaving behind only the sound of crashing waves and mournful cries carried on the wind. Fishermen working nearby swear they can feel icy fingers brushing against their skin, as though unseen hands seek to pull them into the water. Paranormal investigators who have explored the Georgetown Lighthouse describe it as a veritable vortex of spectral energy. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the lantern room and the base of the structure. Audio recordings capture faint whispers, some pleading for help, others issuing warnings in garbled tones. Thermal imaging cameras reveal cold spots concentrated in specific locations, including the spiral staircase and the shoreline. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from video footage showing a shadowy figure standing at the edge of the cliff, its silhouette illuminated by the moonlight before disappearing into the void. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Georgetown Lighthouse remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its stark beauty and tragic past create an atmosphere unlike any other, drawing visitors eager to confront its mysteries. For those brave enough to climb its winding stairs, the promise of encountering Samuel Moore, Abigail, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls offers both terror and fascination. Yet, as each new visitor steps across its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the guardians of the abyss, or risk becoming another chapter in the lighthouse's haunted history. The shared threads of South Carolina's haunted places. As we delve deeper into the haunted histories of South Carolina's most infamous locations, striking similarities emerge, weaving a thread of eerie consistency through their disparate tales. These patterns are not merely coincidental, rather, they underscore universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the tragic love affairs etched into the walls of the Battery Carriage House into the maritime disasters haunting the Georgetown Lighthouse, these sites share a commonality that transcends geography and era, binding them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the Confederate soldier Jacob yearning to reconnect with his family, or the drowned sailors calling out from the depths near the Georgetown Lighthouse, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Architecture plays a pivotal role in amplifying paranormal activity across these locations. Historic structures like the Old Charleston Jail and the Poinsett Hotel, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance. Bedrooms where relationships ended, basements where secrets were buried, or towers where lives were tragically cut short. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint strains of music in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.